Shana Tova, L'Shana Tova, Good Yantiv, Good Yor, however many wonderful ways we have to say it. If I sound a little throaty this evening, you'll please forgive me. But whatever. Let me know if you can't hear me. I'm Rabbi Deanna Douglas, for those of you who are guests, and in a minute. Let me start with a couple of words of welcome. The presiding bishop of the Episcopal Church, the Most Reverend Bishop Michael Curry, wrote, in the prize-winning novel The Overstory by Richard Powers, one of the characters tells a joke which goes something like this. What's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. What's the second best time to plant a tree? Right now. The same could be said for us every year at Rosh HaShana. The good news is that every year we have a right now. So, while it's useful in some sense to look at what we did that we shouldn't have, and what we did that we should have, what we have is right now. So, I encourage you to use these next 10 days and your new right now to make the new year better than the one we are saying farewell to. Some of you may recognize my colleague, Cantor Norm Rubin, from previous years, chanting one beautiful prayer or another. This year, he will do it all instead of Cantor Elizabeth Anker. I am delighted to share the bimah with him. And now what you need to do is, because we do this every year, and it causes a little bit of chaos, and I don't care, please say Shana Tova, or Happy New Year, or Good Yantiv, to someone sitting near you, but also be sure to say those wonderful greetings to someone you do not know. Now, you may have to get up. Did you find someone you didn't know? Good. Let's keep going. I have a blessing. I have a blessing which I did not write. It came from USY, the conservative teenage youth group. And all you have to remember are the last two words. Shmirat HaNefesh. The first sounds just like lighting candles. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al shmirat hanefesh. Anybody who knows what that means, raise your hand. Oh, good, I'll read it. Blessed are you, eternal God, sovereign of the world, who has sanctified us with commandments and commanded us to protect life. It is a blessing for wearing masks. And also by way of introduction, let me introduce Don Backman, who just has a few words of organization for you.
Don't press anything, we think. Nope.
Eventually.
Shana Tova. I'm just organizing the ushers, just a few points. First of all, take out your shofar and silence it, please. Secondly, in the event of an emergency, there are 3 exits from the sanctuary. One is to your left, and then the 2 back exits. If there is a problem that needs to be dealt with, please notify one of the ushers. They have name badges, and that's it. Enjoy, and Happy New Year.
We begin our service with the singing, together maybe, of Hashivenu, the second paragraph on page 6. If you know the tune, please join in. If you know it in parts, please join in. Hashivenu, Hashivenu, Adonai elecha, v'nashuva, v'nashuva, chadesh, chadesh, yameinu kekedem. Again. Hashivenu, Hashivenu, Adonai elecha, v'nashuva, v'nashuva, Kadesh, Kadesh, Yameinu kekedem.
We'll continue on page 10 and 11 with the lighting of the festival candles, Tova Soit.
Candles are here.
Page 10. Creation's brightest light, the mystics say, was hidden at the dawn of time. But on this sacred night, this night of hope and joy, A glimmer of that light is here. In candles' flame, in children's eyes, in eyes aglow with wisdom's light. It shines in the faces of the ones we love, in grateful hearts, in tears of loss. It lives in memories of goodness and in our own desire to do right, to try again, to build anew, to ask forgiveness and make peace. We enter this new year and look upon the beauty of these lights. So may the days of awe renew the light within us. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivonu b'chadlik ner shel yom tov.
Thank you. Page 12. Let's pray this opening prayer in responsive paragraphs. To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven.
This is the season of the soul, a time to rejoice, a time to reflect, a time to return.
A time to gather round the table with loved ones and friends. A time for song and silence, for prayer and confession to open the heart. A time to retreat to our sanctuaries within. A time to renew the life and spirit of our community.
This is the season of attentiveness, a time to notice what has unfolded and what has not, a time to regret, a time to forgive, a time to remember cherished dreams and high ideals erased by reality.
This is the season of hope, like mist rising at sunset, like dew descending at dawn. Our hopes beautify and nourish everything they touch. Our hopes make us partners in creation, pursuers of peace, people who aspire to a world of justice.
This is the season of awe. When our eyes behold it, may we feel blessed. When we turn toward each other, let us feel strength. When we seek the holy, may we find purpose, may we find courage, may we find love.
Continue on page 15.
תקעו בחודש שופר, בכסה ליום חגנו, כי חוק לישראל הוא משפט לאלוהי יעקב. הללוהו בתקע שופר. ברוך אתה אדוני שומע כל תרועת עמו ישראל ברחמים. תקיעה.
Was there ever a sound that was so resonant with meaning than that shofar? You may follow if you wish on page 17.
Oh, no reflection? Open up.
Just because.
Isn't the ark open for anything? No?
Sure. Let's go from there. Would you stand, please?
הנני העני נרעש ונפחד מפחד, יושב תהילות ישראל. באתי לעמוד ולחנן לפניך עמך ישראל, אשר שלחוני אף על פי שאיני חדי והגון לך. על כן אבקשך אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה, אדוני אדוני רחום וחנון, אלוהי ישראל, שדי איום ונורא, ויהי רצון מלפניך, אדוני אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, אהיה אשר אהיה, שתבוא תפילתי לפני כיסא כבודך, בעבור כל הצדיקים והחסידים, התמימים והישרים, ובעבור כבוד שמך הגדול והנורא, כי אתה שומע תפילת עמך ישראל ברחמים. ברוך אתה שומע תפילה
Please be seated. We continue on page 19 with the announcement of the new year. Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Yehi ratzon shenizkeh uverchatenu, Bishnat Chameshet Alafim Sheva Meot Shmonim Ushalosh, 5,783. B'chidush Amenu, b'simchat u'shalom, v'nechama, u'v'motzet lev, בחילוץ עצמה, סליחה. יהי פרי שפתנו מקובל ורצוי מלפניך, בפרוש השנה החדשה, לעד מודים אנחנו לך, על מתנת החיים. Together, our God, God of our ancestors,
may we know your blessing in the year 5783. Eternal One, bless us and the whole house of Israel with renewed life, happiness and peace, comfort and courage, resilience and strength. May the words of our heart be acceptable to you in the new year that stretches before us. We are forever grateful for the gift of life.
Please rise for Baruch Hu on page 21. 20.
As soon as I get a note. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam va'ed.
Please be seated. We continue with the prayer for the evening Ma'ariv Aravim, page 22. Baruch, please join me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim v'chochma poteach sha'arim uvitvuna mishane itim umachalif et hazmanim umasader et hakochavim b'mishmerotehem barakia kiritzono borei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or, uma'avir yom u'mevi laila, uma'avdil bein yom u'vein laila, Adonai tzevaot shemo. El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai ha'ma'ariv aravim. Continue with Shema on page 26.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto le'olam va'ed. And join in, please, in Ve'ahavta on the following page. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafon bein enecha וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Okay, we're on page 33, and we're going to do this responsively. After I read the first two lines, you'll follow with the next two lines. To break the bonds of anger, to be generous of heart.
To break the bonds of shame, to live with self-respect.
To break the bonds of envy, to serve one another in joy.
To break the bonds of boredom, to be attentive to all God's gifts.
To break the bonds of fear, to live with courage and strength.
To untie the knots of betrayal, to love with fullness of being.
To break the bonds of loneliness, to receive a hand of hope.
to break the bonds of self-centeredness, to extend a hand of help.
Released from the darkness, our people found their freedom at the sea, and we pray for liberation at the dawning of this year.
We continue together with Micha Mocha on page 34, the second paragraph. Micha mocha ba'elem Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh, nora tehilot osefele, malchutcha ranu uvanecha, בוקי הים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר כי פד אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל. Amen.
It's page 35. There were no signs. By walking, I found out where I was going. By intensely hating how to love. By loving whom and what to love. By grieving how to laugh from the belly. Out of infirmity, I've built strength. Out of untruth, truth. From hypocrisy, I wove directness. Almost now I know who I am. Almost I have the boldness to be that man. Another step, and I shall be where I started from.
We continue with Shomer Yisrael in the middle of page 37. Shomer, Shomer Yisrael, Shemor Sherit Yisrael. Shomer, Shomer Yisrael, Shemor Sherit Yisrael. Ve'al yovad Yisrael, ve'al yovad Yisrael, ha'omerim, 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 Shema Yisrael.
At the top of page 37. Rosh HaShana in the pines. Darkness settles slowly across the horizon. The new year rises before us, its fragile moon awaiting our embrace. Heaven and earth entwine in their annual dance of recreation. A fissure appears in the firmament tonight, an entranceway into new beginnings. Out beyond the swales, the sea expands and contracts, keeping time to the thrumming of the universe. Under this Rosh Hashanah sky, the path before us is uncertain. All we can do is hold each other tight as we make our way home.
We'll pray the traditional tefillah in 2 stages. Begins on page 42, and we'll pray the first 4 blessings together, and then from 48 to 68, you have an opportunity for private prayer, to pray the Hebrew traditionally as you wish, to pray some of the English readings on the right, or to pray what comes from your heart. Please rise.
Adonai sifatai tiftachu fiya gitehilatecha. Adonai, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim v'Konei Hakol, v'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, u'Mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Lema'an Shemo ve'Ahava. Zachreinu lechayim, melech chafetz b'chayim, v'chotveinu b'sefer hachayim, v'chotveinu b'sefer hachayim, lemancha Elohim chayim, melech ozer u'moshiach u'magen, baruch atah Adonai, magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיי הכל, רב להושיע מוריד הטל. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח, ישוע. מי כמוך אל הרחמים, זוכר יצוריו לחיים ברחמים, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. Amen.
If you like.
We continue with the chanting of Kadosh Atah in the middle of page 52. Kadosh Atah v'norah shemecha v'en Eloah mibaladecha kakatuv Vayigba Adonai tzevaot b'mishpat v'ha'el hakadosh nikdash b'tzedakah Baruch atah Adonai HaMelech HaKadosh. Amen.
Please be seated. We'll continue on page 69.
Page 69. I was never able to pray. Wheel me down to the shore where the lighthouse was abandoned and the moon tolls in the rafters. Let me hear the wind paging through the trees and see the stars flaring out one by one like the forgotten faces of the dead. I was never able to pray, but let me inscribe my name in the book of waves and then stare into the dome of a sky that never ends and see my voice sail into the night.
We continue together on page 66 at the top with the singing of Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom v'tov be'enecha levarech et amcha Yisrael. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Besefer Chayim bracha v'shalom ufarnasa tova. Nizacher v'nikatev lefanecha. Anachnu v'chol amcha Beit Yisrael lechaim tovim ulshalom. Baruch atah Adonai, oseh hashalom. Amen. And on page 70, we continue with Oseh Shalom Bimromav on the second paragraph. Oseh Shalom Bimromav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'imru Amen. Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol Yoshvei Tevel.
Page 75. There are so many prayers, but even more than prayers, there are so many melodies that just grab us at this time. We've sung some of them already. We'll sing some more, over and over and over. And Avinu Malkeinu is certainly one of those. I've never actually counted how many times the prayer is said in these 7 prayers, 7 days of services that we have, 2 for Yom Kippur, 2 for Rosh Hashanah, and 5 for Yom Kippur. But it must be at least 7. But it doesn't matter, because every time we get to that last verse, it feels so right. Let's begin and get centered for Avinu Malkeinu on page 75, and if we would pray responsively. We haven't forgotten Avinu Malkeinu.
Though we've overthrown kings and we disobey fathers.
And we have no great liking for absolute power.
Akiva, before you in a time of drought, and his words went up like a flame on the altar.
Avinu Malkeinu, you alone are our ruler. Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion for us.
He was humble and forgiving, so his prayer was answered.
Tonight we speak again in a time of drought. Dry ground beneath us, no water, only rock.
Not a hunger for bread or a thirst for water, but hearts that are longing to hear God's voice.
For the sea of faith is all but gone. The tide's gone out on the empty beach.
The world mocks our hopes and life tests our courage.
Why do the wicked live on and prosper? Why are you silent when they prey on the innocent?
And if your dominion is kindness and justice, why is creation in so much pain?
Avinu Malkeinu, sustain our souls, send rain to our roots, help us find a way to pray.
Make us humble and forgiving of ourselves and one another.
Avinu Malkeinu, renew these words, help us speak them with conviction and believe their truth.
100 generations have stood before the ark, and they lifted up their voices like flame on the altar, and they put their trust in kindness and justice, and they gave their strength to make the promise real.
Avinu Malkeinu, we haven't forgotten. Avinu Malkeinu, bring us back to you. Please rise.
I'll be singing the words on page 77. Please join in the last verse. Avinu Malkeinu Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malkeinu Chatanu Lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu Chamol Aleinu Ve'alol Aleinu Ve'tapeinu. Avinu Malkeinu Kale Dever Ve'cherev Ve'rav Me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu Kale Kol Tsar Umastin Me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Kotvenu b'Sefer Chayim Tovim. Avinu Malkeinu, Chadesh Aleinu, Chadesh Aleinu, Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu v'Hanenu, ki ein banu masim. Asei imanu, tzedaka v'chesed. Asei imanu, tzedaka v'chesed ve'hoshienu. Asei imanu, tzedaka v'chesed. Asei imanu, tzedaka v'chesed ve'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu v'Hanenu, ki ein banu masim. We continue our service with the chanting of Kaddish, of the Kiddush.
Nope.
No, we don't. We don't.
We will.
After the sermon, details.
I've heard of ways to get out of listening to a sermon, but that was pretty impressive. And I was just about to say how absolutely glorious it was to pray with you tonight. Tonight is the night we've been waiting for 2 years, or maybe more. We've longed to be together, to greet one another, to hug friends, even if we still can't do that, to welcome those we don't yet know, to exhale and hope for a better year. We say so often that we need Rosh HaShana this year, more than last year. And each year it seems as though we need it more than last year. I'd like to suggest that that's not actually so. Each year is always, always filled with love, satisfaction, pleasure, crisis, tragedy, moral dilemmas, deaths, illnesses. It's so easy to focus on one but not the other. But no year is not all of one or all of the other. In past years, I've spoken to you about hope, about forgiveness, peace, angels. And as I thought about these, I realized that they all boil down to one thing: kindness. And so this year I want to talk about kindness. Kindness to those we know and to those we don't. I was led to this understanding by two things I read this past year. One is a single sentence in a book by Nancy Horan entitled Under the Wide and Starry Sky, about the life of Robert Louis Stevenson. She wrote such a simple sentence that it should be the motivating force every day in our lives. Not love, not prosperity, not accomplishment, but this, and I quote, "In the end, what really matters, only kindness, only making somebody a little happier for your presence." It seems like such a simple thing, but you know as well as I that we get absorbed by what we think we have to do, or with our own issues or needs. Of course, it's true that we do have to take care of ourselves so that we can take care of others. So we need to find that balance. Which brings me to a column that I read in the Boston Globe. The headline is, "I always feel better when I feel kind." Here is the short, entire column by Alyssa Ellie, an occasional columnist and a psychiatrist for the Boston Globe. She has said it far better than I ever could. Not too long ago, a jar of gefilte fish, a bottle of Manischewitz Concord grape wine, and a slab of sidewalk met my forehead at the same time. Goodness, I thought, hitting the ground, what is all that glass and blood? And why are all those jellied potatoes rolling around? Drivers passed with averted eyes. One could write a whole essay on those 5 words. But one kind stranger, and several hours later, I waited in a hall on a gurney for a CT scan. Care and stitching would be coming. In the meantime, I felt like a poster for hazardous biofluid. Someone should have marked a large X through me. An aide, wearing a modified hijab, passed by. She disappeared around the corner. Another one of those drivers, I thought. But she reappeared moments later with a handful of warm towels. "Let me," she said. And she gently started cleansing all that needed cleansing. The battle was uphill, since there were few parts not in need. But she persisted. "I don't like to see people covered with blood while they're waiting," she explained. As she worked, she talked a bit about herself. Blood was nothing new, and not only here. She had been leaving Kabul with her elderly mother. When on their way to catch the plane, her mother tripped on an escalator and rammed into its metal sides, a variant of gefilte fish in pavement. In the nearest emergency room, it looked like the wait was going to be endless, but they had an imperative plane to catch. She told the staff that if they would give her steri strips, supplies, and a medical letter, she would cleanse and treat her mother's wound on her own. And that's how the two of them made the flight out of that country into this one. It was just the tip of a life story, but the CT guys were ready as they cheerfully released the gurney's brakes. The aide gathered crimson towels. She had made quite a bit of progress. I was viewable now. "I was supposed to be on my break," she said, waving goodbye. "But I always feel better when I feel kind." One could write a whole essay on those 9 words. Well, this isn't an essay, but it sure inspired me to talk about kindness. Kindness exists in every culture, in every language, in every religion. Kindness is, in fact, key to being Jewish. The Hebrew word you may know is chesed, whose key meaning is grace. Grace, a concept Jews often incorrectly relegate to Christians. The grace of chesed, the grace from God of chesed, comes from being kind. You may know the verse at the very beginning of Pirkei Avot. Maybe you even sung it in camp. Al shlosha devarim ha'olam omed, al haTorah, v'al ha'avodah, v'al gemilut chasadim. The world depends on, the world stands on 3 things. The world is preserved by 3 things: Torah, service, and deeds of kindness. So much of the time we tend to focus on the rules. Do this, don't do that. Formal obligations. Do that, don't do this. But kindness cuts through all of that. Kindness isn't optional. Reaching out to others is a key part of making the world a better place. Being kind is integral to living a holy Jewish life. Maimonides, that great Spanish-Egyptian Jew, wrote, "Acts of kindness are greater than tzedakah," charity, since they can be done both for the rich and the poor. Tzedakah can only be done with one's money, while acts of kindness can be done both personally and with one's money. For Maimonides, kindness cuts across all lines: status, wealth, ethnicity, religion. The bottom line for him was humanity. From one human response with kindness to another. Because doing so recognizes the commonality that we all share. Rabbi Jonathan Sacks, of blessed memory, wrote, "Acts of kindness never die. They linger in the memory, giving life to other acts in return." In other words, one act of kindness goes far beyond its immediacy in that it fosters another. Most recently, we saw it on Martha's Vineyard. People fleeing another country, looking for a better life. Does that sound familiar to us, whose families did precisely that? They arrived through no will of their own at a strange place on an island with nothing. They were greeted with first surprise and then with open arms by the locals who lived there, many of whom had little to give but kindness. Not to recognize the common humanity of the other is to be indifferent to that person's essential nature. Elie Wiesel said in an interview back in 1986, "Indifference to me is the epitome of evil. The opposite of love is not hate. It is indifference. The opposite of art is not ugliness. It is indifference. The opposite of faith is not heresy. It's indifference. And the opposite of life is not death. It's indifference." Indifference, then, says, I'm more important than you. I'm better than you. I matter more than you. I read a book this summer called The Ride of Her Life by Elizabeth Letts. Letts tells the story of Annie Wilkins of Minot, Maine. She was destitute and homeless, having had her home burned down and lost her job. Nevertheless, at age 62, she decides to ride across America in 1954 with an old horse, a mutt dog, and about $70 in cash. She manages to get to Kansas. She does get it all the way, but in Kansas. She's about 10 miles west of Norton, Kansas. And she found a clearing where her horse could graze and her dog could roam around. A car pulls up. Now, I understand 1954, not everybody had a car, but a car pulls up. A 40-ish woman got out, set up a folding table and 2 chairs, and produced a warm tuna noodle casserole wrapped in a towel to keep it warm. Let's writes. As they ate, the woman explained that she was sick. Doctors had told her that she didn't have much time left to live. Her expression as she related this was earnest, as if she thought Annie might have some secret piece of wisdom for her. Annie said, "Do not give up." No one could know the future. We don't know what's foreordained and what isn't. Annie had learned something during her time on the road. In times of trouble, one thing did help over and over. Simple acts of kindness, a place to stay, food, care for her animals. She could never in a million years have imagined this impromptu picture by the side of the road in Norton, Kansas. No amount of worrying or planning or imagining would have conjured up this moment. Yet, how very much it meant to Annie that this woman had decided to spend one of her numbered days making a tuna noodle casserole, covering it with a cloth, putting it on the back seat of her car, sliding 2 metal folding chairs and a card table in the trunk, and driving west along Highway 36, headed toward a stranger who might be hungry, whose day might be eased by someone who was willing to spend a few moments thinking of how to be kind to someone she didn't know. Unkindness doesn't necessarily manifest itself in hostile words or raised voices. Overlooking or ignoring people can hurt even more than nasty statements. Saying a kind word to others, even simply saying hello, acknowledges their humanity, goes far to brighten their day and lighten their load. It also brightens your day, lightens your load. You just experienced it at the beginning of services tonight. You rushed here, parked the car, hurried to the sanctuary, wondering where to sit. Did you greet the ushers? Or was your greeting perfunctory as you walked past them? Did you thank the policeman who stood outside the door? All normal activities. Maybe yes, maybe no. But I offered you an opportunity to break that pattern. What did it feel like when you said HaShana Tova to someone? Or, even better, when someone you didn't know said it to you? Carlo Rovelli, a theoretical physicist, I don't even know what that means. A theoretical physicist. I thought all physicists by definition were theoretical, but whatever. Anyway, Rovelli was lecturing at an institute in a small city in Senegal. He tells of going out to the countryside to see what it's like, and ends up in a little village. In the center of the village, there's a very large pink mosque. And the worshipers are leaving. And as they're leaving, they reach down and put on their shoes, which they have taken off and left outside. Rovelli takes off his sandals and walks barefoot, carrying them with him into the mosque. A young man rushes up, pointing to the sandals, talking very loudly. Rovelli is distraught because he realizes that being barefoot isn't enough. The rule is, don't bring shoes into the mosque. At this point, an old man comes up as Rovelli tries to explain that he didn't know, that he wasn't afraid the shoes would be stolen, he just didn't know. The old man smiles, takes the sandals, leaves, and returns with them in a plastic bag, and hands the bag to Rovelli with a smile. And thus, the title of Rovelli's book, should you wish to read it. There are places in the world where rules are less important than kindness. I heartily recommend it to you. If Rosh HaShana is, as we know, a time for resolutions, I urge you to add to your list of resolutions one small act of kindness every day. Small in the time that it takes. Great in the effect that it has. Shana Tova. Cantor Rubin, would you like to chant Kiddush?
I would.
I'd love you to.
Champing at the bit, some would say.
It is on page something or other. You know which.
The middle of page 79.
Ah, there we go.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol am veromamanu mikol lashon v'kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'titen lanu Adonai Eloheinu be'ahava et yom hazikaron hazeh Yom Truah Mikra Kodesh Zecher Litziat Mitzrayim Kivanu Vacharta Viotanu Kidashta Mikol Hamim Udevaracha Emet Vekayam La'ad Baruch Ata Adonai Melech Al Kol Haaretz Mekadesh Yisrael Ve'yom hazikaron. And together at the bottom of the page. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheyanu v'kiyamanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh.
Lovely. Page 81. Poem by Ruth Bryn, a wonderful poet. No one ever told me the coming of the Messiah could be an inward thing. No one ever told me a change of heart might be as quiet as new-fallen snow. No one ever told me that redemption was as simple as springtime and as wonderful as birds returning after a long winter. Rose-breasted grosbeaks singing in the swaying branches of a newly budded tree. No one ever told me that salvation might be like a fresh spring wind, blowing away the dried, withered leaves of another year, carrying the scent of flowers, the promise of fruition. What I found for myself, I try to tell you. Redemption and salvation are very near, and the taste of them is in the world that God created and laid before us. We will continue on page 83 and 85 with Aleinu. Those of you who are familiar with the minhag, the tradition at HaYam, know that we have been singing a different version of Aleinu than the traditional one. And that is what you can find at the bottom of page 83. If you wish to sing the more traditional one, it is there at the top of page 82. Mostly.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you stand, please?
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא עשנו לשומרי האדמה, והוא שמנו לשליחי התורה, שהוא שם חיינו איתם, וגורלנו עם כל העולם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. I invite Judy Keller to say a few words on a variety of topics, but I must say that those of you, which I think is about 98% of you, who aren't actively involved in putting these High Holy Day services together, have no clue what this woman standing in front of you has done. And there are even those of us who know a great deal about what she's done, still cannot fathom that it comes out as elegantly and as beautifully as it does year after year.
And now that you've totally embarrassed me.
I hope that I have.
Good evening. I'm Judy Keller. I'm chair of the Ritual Committee, and it's my honor to welcome you this evening to our High Holiday services. I bring you greetings from Cantor Liz Anchor. Hello and Happy New Year from Jamaica Plain. I send you wishes of health and peace in the new year. My treatments for multiple myeloma, which I was diagnosed with in the spring, are going well, and we are getting excellent results. Thank you all for your well wishes. Feel free to contact me if you'd like. I want to give a shout out to Norm Rubin for stepping up so graciously and returning to the Cape from Toronto, Canada, for this season's holidays. My very best wishes, Cantor Liz. I would also like to share with you the reasons why I am active in and support HaYam. So here come the top 10 reasons why I support HaYam. Number 10, we hold our in-person Shabbat services here at the Federated Church, and I live just around the corner from the church. No way am I going to try to get to Hyannis or Falmouth in the summer or winter. The members of Federated Church have gone out of their way to make us feel welcome in this space. We are blessed to have this sacred space as our home. And for your information, we also will be holding some Shabbat services on Zoom in the coming months for those who are from away for part of the year. Number 9, if you participate, you are a member. No dues, no building fund, no tickets, but we still have bills that need to be paid. More about that later. Number 8, beach gatherings, wine and cheese, pizza. We can be very social. Thanks to Yvonne Gunsberger and Cheryl Schley for planning and organizing so many events. We have one coming up in October. And how about those recipes? If you go to our website, you'll find some absolutely delicious recipes that have been submitted by the members of HaYam. Number 7, adult education. We have a great schedule of programs throughout the year. Wendy Ehrlich and Melissa Fox are the fabulous leaders of our adult education program. Watch for all their emails with details. You don't want to miss the book discussions and all the rest of the programs this coming year. Number 6, our holiday and festival celebrations can't be beat. Latkes for Hanukkah, Insanity on Purim, wine for Passover. I can't wait to be able to share these special occasions with many of you in person again in the coming year. Number 5, our newsletter, edited by the incomparable Rebecca Holmes, keeps us informed about everything HaYam. If you're not on our email distribution list, you should be. And be sure to check out our phenomenal website, which is maintained by Carl Fink. We couldn't survive without these 2 fabulous members of the Havurah. Number 4, monthly Torah study is a delight, as is Rabbi Douglas, who leads us. There'll be information about the upcoming season of Torah study in the October newsletter. Number 3, as a member of the board of directors, I can experience firsthand the dedication that others have for this Havurah. We are looking for more members to step up and support the governance of HaYam. Could that be you in the coming year? Number 2, Renata Wasserman and her late husband, George, a blessed memory, my dear friends and neighbors, would never steer me wrong about anything. They were the ones who introduced me to HaYam in a conversation across the fence that joins our 2 backyards, and I am so glad that they did. And finally, drum roll please. I thought you would help me with the drum roll, folks. Drum roll, please. Thank you. The members of HaYam are my extended family here on the Cape. I never thought I would find such a caring, loving, and dedicated community when I moved here from New York. But here you all are, and I am so grateful for your support, your love, and for you being here for all of us. So we are celebrating the start of another year with Rabbi Douglas, Cantor Rubin, and each other, be it in person or online. But HaYam can only continue to exist with your financial support. I would like to thank all of you who have supported us in the past and all of you who will support us again this year. Please pick up an HaYam donation envelope as you leave tonight if you haven't already done so. or use the donation link or form at our website to support us to the best of our ability. At this time of the year, we also ask you to support the food pantry at the Lower Cape Outreach Council. Our food drive is in honor of Carol and Stephen, of blessed memory, Roth, who have been a part of our high holiday celebrations for over 20 years. We choose not to eat on Yom Kippur, but there are many people here on the Cape who cannot afford the food they need for themselves and their families. You can support this effort by making an additional donation for the food drive. If you are sending in an additional check for the food drive, please indicate food drive in the memo line. If you donate online, there is a separate link to donate for the food drive. We appreciate every donation we receive for both our annual appeal and for the food drive. We are a community of volunteers. We need your help to continue to be the presence of the Jewish community here on the Lower and Outer Cape. Please consider giving not only a donation this year, but also your time. Our Rosh Hashanah morning service will begin tomorrow at 10 a.m. More details about our services and upcoming programs can be found on our website, ahycc.org, and in the October newsletter. May this new year be a good year for you and all those you love. May you have good health and only happiness in the coming year. L'Shana Tova.
As an introduction to the Mourner's Kaddish, page 87. Life after death. These things I know, how the living go on living. Thank you. And how the dead go on living with them. So that in a forest, even a dead tree casts a shadow, and the leaves fall one by one, and the branches break in the wind, and the bark peels off slowly, and the trunk cracks, and the rain seeps in through the cracks, and the trunk falls to the ground, and the moss covers it. And in the spring, the rabbits find it and build their nest inside the dead tree, so that nothing is wasted in nature or in love. Tonight, we remember particularly those members and relatives of HaYam who have died since last Rosh Hashanah. We will have time in other services for all of your beloved who have lost, who have died. We honor and we remember Lila Balofsky, mother of Joni Spalter, Linda Gordon, wife of Bob Gordon, Adina Jick, daughter of Todd Jick and Wendy Ehrlich, Warren Jewell, father of Kathy Fogel, Peter Selig, husband of Bim Selig. If there is a member of HaYam or a relative of a member of HaYam who has died in the past year, whose name I did not mention, would you let me know now?
My cousin Rochelle Goldfarb. My cousin Rochelle Goldfarb.
Rochelle Goldfarb, cousin of Stephen Barrick. that this year or last year? This year. So sorry. Thank you, Judy Underberg, wife of Steve Underberg. Oh, thank you. The Mourner's Kaddish is on page 90. Would you please stand if you are able? Yid Gadal, Yid Kadash, Shemei Rabbah, Yalba, Divrah, Virte, Yamlich, Malchute, V'chayechon, Uvyamechon, V'chayeh D'chol Beit Yisrael, V'agala, Uvizman, Kari, V'emru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah, Mevorah, Leolam, Lalmei, Almaya. Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yitpa'ar, V'yitromam, V'yitnaseh. V'yitadar, V'yitaleh, V'yitaleh, Shmei, D'kudashah, B'rechu. Le'elam.
Le'elam, min kol birchad v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiran v'yolma v'yamru, Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba, Min Shemaya, V'chayim Aleinu, V'al kol Yisrael, v'yamru, Amen. Oseh Shalom b'moamav, Hu Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol Yoshvei Tevel, v'yamru, Amen.
Please be seated.
And we continue with Adon Olam on page 94. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yetzir nivra le'ed nasa b'chefzo kol hazai melech shemo nikra ve'acharei kichlot hakol levado yimloch nora והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יחיה בתפארה והוא אחד ואין שני להמשיל לו להחבירה בלי ראשית בלי תכלית ולא העוז והמשרה, והוא אלי וחי גואלי, וצור חבלי ביצרה, והוא ניסי ומנוס לי, מנת כוסי ביום אקרא, בידו אפקיד רוחי. בעת אישן ואירה ואמרוכי גביעתי אדוני לי ולא אירה.
And a Rosh HaShana blessing on page 98. Let's pray it together. Our God,
and God of all generations before us, may it be your will in the coming year to grant us a year of abundance and atonement, a year of blessings bestowed and received, a year of community and compassion, a year of delight and exaltation, a year of enlightenment, a year of friendship and forgiveness, a year of going up in gladness to the land of Israel, a year of health and healing and humor, a year of inner strength and well-being, a year of joy and Jewish celebration, a year of knowledge and learning for its own sake, a year of love between parents and children, friends and spouses, brothers and sisters, a year of mitzvot and moments of sweetness, a year of nature protected and enjoyed, a year of optimism and hope, a year of peace pursued with perseverance, a year of quiet and tranquility, a year of rain in its season, a year of song and spiritual growth, a year of Torah study and tikkun olam, a year of understanding and unity, a year of vows fulfilled and violence overcome, a year of wisdom acquired and shared, a year of coexistence among the families of the earth, a year of young and old teaching out to one another, a year of Zion aglow with light for us and all the world. Our God and God of the generations before us, grant us a year of gratitude to you for the most profound of blessings, your gift of life. Please join in Lashana Tova Tikatevu V'Tichatemo in the middle of 99. Lashana Tova Tikatevu, Lashana Tova Tikatevu, Tikatevu V'Techatemu.
Shana Tova. One favor, if you are holding a prayer book which is not your own, would you take it with you and deposit it on the bench outside? See you in the morning.